If this is you staring at your phone for the fifth time in an hour, wondering why she hasn't replied yet, feeling your chest tighten every time that little bubble pops up, you already know the anxiety. You know that mix of hope and dread, the way your mind spins with 1,000 possibilities. Most of them bad. Maybe this feels familiar. You send a simple text, just a, "Hey, how's your day?" And then you wait and wait and wait some more, feeling that creeping self-doubt settle in like it owns you. You start analyzing every single word she sends, dissecting emojis like they're secret codes, replaying old conversations over and over, trying to figure out if she's actually interested or just polite. And the truth is, you hate feeling this way. You hate that something as simple as texting can make you feel invisible one moment and overjoyed the next. You wonder if you're reading it wrong, if you're overthinking, or if maybe she's just not feeling it the way you are. And then comes the guilt. Did you text too much? Did you say the wrong thing? Did you come on too strong? Or worse, did you say too little? That fear of missing the signal, of misreading the signs, gnaws at you. You catch yourself imagining scenarios in your head, what she might be doing, who she's talking to, why she hasn't replied yet. It's exhausting. But what if there was a way to see past the guessing games? What if her texting wasn't random at all, but a window into what she's really thinking and feeling? What if you could finally stop wondering, stop doubting, and actually understand her mind through the patterns she leaves in her messages? Can you handle knowing what she really thinks before she even says it out loud? Most men get this wrong, not because women are complicated, but because they treat texting like a scoreboard. They count responses, agonize over timing, and panic when she doesn't reply exactly the way they want. That's the mistake. Texting isn't a test, it's a signal. And if you read it like a test, you'll always fail. Here's what most guys don't realize. The woman you're interested in isn't keeping track of how fast you reply. And she's not judging your value by the words you send. She's giving you clues about her interest and her emotions, tiny patterns in tone, timing, and choice of words that reveal what she really feels. But to see them, you need to step back. You need perspective. The first principle is presence. A man who is grounded, who lives outside the screen instead of inside it, never lets his emotions be hijacked by a delayed text. When you approach texting with calm authority, every message becomes a tool, not a trap. You're observing, not reacting. The second principle is non-attachment. Most guys attach their self-worth to her responses, thinking that every read receipt or delayed reply says something about them. That's exactly the trap. The truth is, her texting habits are a reflection of her state of mind, not a measure of your value. You can learn her patterns, understand her interest, and respond strategically, but only if you stay emotionally untangled, steady, and deliberate. When you internalize these principles, something shifts. You stop guessing, stop overanalyzing, and instead start seeing patterns clearly. Suddenly, what once felt confusing becomes predictable. And that calm, grounded presence, that's magnetic. That's the energy that makes her want to respond, to engage, and to chase, not because you begged, but because you understood. He sits on the edge of the bed, phone in hand, the dim glow casting a pale light across his face. The silence of the room feels heavier than it should, pressing against his chest like the air itself knows his impatience. He scrolls through the conversation again, reading the same message she sent hours ago, feeling the pause between texts stretch longer than it ever should. Why hasn't she replied yet? Did I say something wrong? His mind races, a carousel of worst-case scenarios spinning faster and faster. The hum of the fridge in the kitchen, the faint tick of the clock. Every small sound becomes a countdown. He remembers laughing with her the night before, the way her voice lingered in his head, the warmth in her words, and now nothing. Just silence. He swipes to reread her message again, tracing the punctuation, the emoji, even the small gap between her sentences. Is she interested? Does she even like me the way I like her? He imagines her on the other side of the phone. What is she thinking right now? Talking to someone else? Watching a show? Or maybe she's just busy, but the questions refuse to quiet themselves. Every half-hearted response she sent flashes in his memory like a neon sign he can't turn off. And in that moment, he realizes how much he's been reacting, not observing. How he's been letting the silence dictate his emotions instead of reading the signals it contains. He leans back, closes his eyes, and for the first time, listens to the rhythm of her texting. The delays, the words she chooses, the small shifts in tone. They all tell a story he's been too tense to hear. It isn't random. She isn't cold. She's given him pieces of her mind, and if he can slow down, if he can detach from the panic, he can start to understand. He opens his eyes, phone resting loosely in his hand. For the first time, the uncertainty doesn't feel like a trap. It feels like a map. He doesn't need to guess, doesn't need to overthink. He just needs to see. And when he finally sees, the patterns unfold like a language he always knew he could read. Subtle, precise, and entirely revealing. The tension in his chest loosens, and for the first time in hours, he breathes. Most men believe that if she doesn't text back immediately, it means she's losing interest. That's not true. Her timing doesn't reflect your worth. It reflects her world, her energy, her day. The mistake is thinking the delay is about you, when really, it's about her rhythm. She didn't ghost you. You disappeared from yourself. Another common belief is that every word she sends is a test, a puzzle you have to solve. That pressure to decode everything pushes you into anxiety instead of clarity. The truth. Women's texts aren't traps, they're clues. If you pay attention calmly, without attaching your ego, you start to see the patterns she's leaving. Her texting isn't random. It's a window into her mind. And here's the hardest one for most guys. Thinking you need to be available 24/7 out of your 7, always chasing her energy to prove you care. That's exactly the opposite of magnetic. The moment you detach from that neediness, you actually become the man she wants to engage with. Presence, calm authority, patience. Those are the qualities she notices, not the number of times you respond. Chasing her doesn't get you her. Understanding her does. When you let go of these false beliefs, something shifts. The panic fades. The overthinking quiets. You start seeing her texting for what it really is, a mirror of her emotions, a guide to her interest, and a map for how to connect with her without sacrificing yourself in the process. This is how men stop guessing and start knowing. And once you know, everything about your interactions changes. You said 1% Headman mindset at 4 men, Lee 800 words based on how to read a woman's mind through her texting habits. Hain, explain what the 1% Headman does differently. Give the mindset shift, not tactics. Use phrases like, this is what he understands, and this is how he leads with presence, not pressure. Let the viewer feel empowered, not ashamed without any headings. He's staring at his phone again, thumb hovering over the screen, heart tight, mind spinning with every unread message. But then something shifts, not in her, not in the text, but in him. A quiet awareness rises, subtle at first, like sunlight slipping through a crack in a dark room. He notices the tension in his chest, the tight coil of expectation, and for the first time, he lets it soften. It hits him. The waiting, the obsessing, the analyzing, they were never about her. They were about him forgetting who he is, letting his value ride on someone else's attention. And in that moment, he remembers. He remembers the strength he carries, the presence he's cultivated, the calm he's built in silence. The phone becomes lighter in his hand. He doesn't need to check it. He doesn't need validation. He doesn't need answers she hasn't sent. Because he sees now that his worth was never in the reply. It's in him. And with that realization, everything changes. The panic dissolves. The anxiety fades. He breathes. He is present. He is steady. And in that stillness, he finally understands. When he stops chasing, he begins to command attention effortlessly, and every message becomes clarity, not chaos. The patterns were never hidden. The pauses, the words, the timing, they were there all along, quietly revealing her mind. But the real revelation wasn't in her texts. It was in him. In the calm he claimed, the presence he held, the value he remembered was always his own. When he stopped reacting to uncertainty and started observing with clarity, Everything shifted. He didn't need to guess anymore. He didn't need to chase. He only needed to see. And in that seeing, he realized the ultimate truth: her messages never defined him. He always defined himself.